Lord of the Mysteries. Chapter 594. The World's Commission. Thankfully, the world didn't have the ability to blush red. As long as he wasn't controlled, there was no change to his state. He chuckled darkly. Another few more days. Audrey nodded with a reserved attitude and didn't rush him. This was because Susie didn't express any desire in advancing any time soon. After all, she was only a dog. The hangman, the moon, and the sun had just advanced a few days ago, so they were in the stage of converging their spirituality and practicing their new beyonder powers. They had no desire to purchase the subsequent potion formulas or corresponding sanguine inheritance. They calmly waited until the transaction phase came to an end. Besides, they didn't have spare cash. Although Alger had lowered the price Emlyn White had to pay for the Sanguine Baron inheritance to £4,300 and £300 in commission, allowing him to earn £1,400, he had spent quite a bit on the whip of mind. All he had left was £1,445. After purchasing the Sanguine Baron inheritance, new dolls, and doll dresses, he still had £2,300 in savings. Although it seemed like a sizable amount, the subsequent ingredients were that of a sanguine viscount. It would cost at least £8,000. As for Derek, he had exchanged all his merit points that he had previously accumulated, and he was waiting to be sent out for a patrolling or exploration mission. Furs and Audrey were similarly not seeking to purchase the potion formulas of the subsequent sequences since they could obtain them from their own resource channels. Furthermore, there was no need to hide it or waste money at the Tarot Club. Audrey simply wasn't too nitpicky when it came to money. It didn't mean she was dumb. On the other hand, Cattleya was still observing and wasn't in a rush to reveal what she needed. On the other hand, she didn't believe that the other Tarot Club members apart from Mr. Fool could provide anything she needed. After all, to a pirate admiral who had advanced to Sequence 5 for years, what she desired most was the level of demigod. Therefore, she only looked calmly at the sun and the others, with her slightly dark purple eyes, and without making any attempts at speaking. Klein thought for a moment, and controlled the world to add, "Is anyone able to obtain a mystical item with very potent offensive strength?" The target of his question was directed at the hermit. This was because only Admiral of Stars, who had traveled the seas for so many years, could satisfy his request. Even the hangman and that artisan he knew couldn't do it unless he could provide them with a corresponding Sequence 6 or even a Sequence 5 beyonder characteristic. Cattleya fell silent for 2 seconds before slowly shaking her head. "If something similar appears at the beyonder gatherings I participate in, I'll help you take note." All these years, she had killed several beyonders and had indeed obtained a certain number of beyonder characteristics and mystical items, but they were either rewarded to her pirate subordinates, or she had exchanged them for 2 powerful items that greatly enhanced her strength and survivability. She didn't have anything to spare. Furthermore, she needed the 2 items and wouldn't sell them before she advanced to the level of demigod. From the looks of it, Admiral of Stars isn't a well-to-do person either. A huge faction implies large expenses. Klein silently sighed and made the world thank her with his hoarse voice. With the transactions quickly coming to an end, he controlled the world to look at Furs. "I wish to entrust you with a mission." "Me?" Furs was a little surprised. Could it be something like buying a radio transceiver again? She thought as the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. The world nodded. "Go to Williams Street, which borders Westboro and Empress Borough, and circle the place. Do it once every 2 to 3 days. Take note of any abnormalities. If there are any, then inform me immediately." He didn't use Mr. Fool to bring focus on the matter, as everyone was already used to it and experienced. Furthermore, beneath Williams Street was precisely the location of the Tudor family's ruins where the evil spirit was lingering. "Abnormality? What would be considered abnormal?" Furs asked, feeling puzzled and cautious. There might be something abnormal about Williams Street in Backland? Audrey was originally not very interested in the topic, but at that moment she pricked up her ears and paid close attention. She trusted Mr. World's ability to gather intelligence to a great extent. The Great Smog of Backlund was evidence of his ability. Westboro, Empress Borough. Sounds like it's located at Lone's capital, Backlund. Miss Magician is presently in Backlund? Indeed. She looks ordinary, but she isn't in any way. To a secret organization, members in a city are often more powerful in other places. Of course, she might also be like me, a coincidence of fate because she requested to be roped in. Cattleya swept a glance at Furs and quickly analyzed the information revealed from the conversation. Alger was suddenly interested since he knew that the world was the representative of Mr. Fool's Blessed. Whatever he paid attention to had a high chance of involving a conflict at the upper echelons. Just what secret lies within that street named William Street? Alger couldn't help but try to guess at the deeper truth. How would I know what abnormalities there will be? Klein mumbled before getting the world to answer gloomily. I believe there will be sufficient abnormalities. I have to warn you that if you really notice anything abnormal, do not attempt to investigate it on your own or hire someone to do the investigation. It will be very dangerous. How much do you think is an adequate reward? Very dangerous. Furs instinctively wished to decline the mission. However, considering how immense the influence of the Great Smog of Backlund was, one that even affected her, she wasn't sure if this abnormality wouldn't cause her harm. As such, she became hesitant. After a few seconds, she changed her languid seating posture and said, 100 pounds. Much lower than I imagined. The world chuckled. Furs spread her hands and said, It's because it's for myself as well. I'll just treat it as people observation, in order to gather material for my novel. That's right, I can't stay at home all day. It's time for me to get out. I have to push forward the matter of acting as a trick master. Just conjuring tricks to amuse Zio isn't enough to digest it. How should I act? Join a circus to perform tricks? Or should I do individual performances at different squares? I don't have to be worried about how the people I know view me. As an author, life experience is a basic trait. Furs's thoughts gradually dispersed. After settling this matter, Klein made the world turn his head to the hangman and chuckled darkly. I received intel that the Church of Storms has taken action. The matter at Bansi Harbor has been preliminarily resolved. Having been drifting out at sea for the past week, Alger, who hadn't had any contact with the church, immediately replied with a solemn voice. What's the final outcome? There won't be a Bansi Harbor for some time. The world replied with a concealed smile. At this moment, Audrey and company realized what they were talking about. That was the place with the ancient name Binzi, and it had the present name of Bansi. It was the place where descendants of the King of Angels Medici resided. Is Mr. World implying that the Church of Storms has leveled Bansi Harbor? That's really in their style. That's good too. There's no need to worry that the innocent there will be corrupted. I wonder if the King of Angels Medici appeared or escaped. Would the Pontiff of the Church of Storms appear in person, or was a Grade 0 sealed artifact used? Audrey heaved a sigh of relief as she asked with brightened eyes, Mr. World, do you know of the specifics? No, no one knows, other than the upper echelons of the Church of Storms. The world stole a glance at the hangman. The hangman fell silent, feeling the burning ambition in his chest once more. I want to become a member of the church's upper echelons, he emphasized to himself. The hermit Cattleya, who had joined the tarot gathering a second time, basically didn't understand what they were talking about. As a pirate admiral, she was no stranger to Bansi Harbor, but she didn't know what had happened there. She also had no idea why the Church of Storms would destroy the place and why it would require a long period of time to rebuild it. It should be a very serious matter that deals with the higher-ups. The members of the Tarot Club seems to be aware of the reason. Although their sequences aren't high, they seem to know a lot and are involved in many matters, apart from the sun. This is the reason why Mr. Fool tacitly agreed to have them establish this gathering. Through the Tarot Club, they will indirectly influence various matters of different organizations. Cattleya once again reevaluated her understanding of the other members and was increasingly impressed with them. She still maintained her silence and didn't inquire. This left Audrey, who was waiting to flaunt via answering in response to the hermit's puzzlement, disappointed. Even for Ma'am Hermit, it's unlikely that she'll be involved in matters regarding a king of angels. No, she might not even know about the existence of a king of angels. Audrey thought spontaneously. After talking about the outcome of Banshee Harbor and waiting for a moment, Emlyn White immediately cleared his throat and said, "Thanks to Mr. Hangman's help, I'm already a baron. I have a question. As a sanguine, do I need to use the acting method like you humans do in order to expedite the so-called digestion after advancing to a baron, so as to better grasp the beyonder characteristic?" His back was extremely sharp as his neck was slightly elevated while his chin was slightly tipped upwards. "I'm sorry. Mr. Fool isn't able to answer this question of yours. But in theory it's required. After all, you are using the inheritance of others." Klein leaned back in his chair and sat amidst the gray fog as he leisurely looked at the other members of the Tarot Club. Katla scanned her surroundings and said, "A sanguine baron corresponds to the sequence 6 potions, Professor?" "Yes," Emlyn replied, unable to hide his smile. He wasn't stupid. From the previous transactions and interactions, he had determined the sequences of the other members apart from the world. He believed that he was one of the strongest members of the Tarot Club. Of course, this was excluding Mr. Fool and the recently recruited Ma'am Hermit. "Mr. Moon is already at sequence 6? Why does he seem more immature than the sun?" Audrey pursed her lips. At that moment Katla said, "It requires acting because this pathway only has the name vampire at sequence 7. As for you, you were born in that state. There's no need to act, but it's required for the other sequences. Ma'am Hermit, which pathway does that sequence 7 belong to?" Audrey blinked her eyes as she curiously asked before Emlyn White could say a word,